Through the scope, 3 scumbags came into clear view, but the old man didn't want to kill them outright. He wanted them to suffer. One of them was holding a champagne bottle about to pop the cork. The old man aimed at the bottle between his legs and pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out, freezing the other 2 in shock. Just like that, the bastard was permanently crippled. The old man picked up a discarded eggshell from the ground and casually made his way downstairs. He returned to where people were playing chess and even offered advice to other players, as if he'd never left. The arrival of the ambulance drew a crowd, but when they learned who the victim was, everyone cheered. Yet the remaining 2 weren't alarmed. Soon enough, they met up again at an apartment. Just like before, the old man slipped upstairs unnoticed and waited patiently for his opportunity. When one of the young men got into his car, the old man aimed at the gas tank and squeezed the trigger. A massive explosion erupted as the car burst into flames. The young man was burned so badly he couldn't function. People rushed over to watch. The old man calmly stood among the crowd, watching the chaos unfold. Only one young officer looked suspicious. The police chief quickly arrived at the scene and determined these 2 incidents were no accident. But without evidence to make an arrest, he could only warn his son. "Your 2 friends have already been hit. You're next." The son panicked. He paced nervously, moved a potted plant for cover, and drew the curtains. The young officer came knocking and learned from a girl that her aunt had gone on vacation and left her keys with the old man. This raised the young officer's suspicions. Before leaving, he quietly pocketed the keys. Seeing his son under threat, the chief brought his team to search the premises, but they turned the place upside down and found nothing. Just as he was about to leave empty-handed, the girl's aunt showed up for her keys. It suddenly clicked. The chief took his team to the aunt's apartment. He noticed the window provided a perfect sniper's perch. If they could just find the weapon, they'd have him dead to rights. When they got to the closet, the old man tensed up, but when they opened it, there was nothing inside. Even the old man looked stunned. Without evidence, the chief could only issue a warning: "If anything happens to my son, I'll come for you." But the old man cut him off and said calmly, "Your son already has." The chief bolted home and pounded frantically on the door, but there was no answer. He pulled out his gun to shoot the lock, but took a bullet to the gut instead. His son, paralyzed by fear, had mistaken him for the old man coming for revenge. The guilty had finally faced justice. But the old man was puzzled about where his rifle had gone. When the young officer confronted him, he learned the cop had hidden it. The young officer asked, "You sold your home for revenge. Was it worth it?" The old man replied, "An eye for an eye. That's justice. That's life." In the end, the young officer didn't turn him in, but he kept the gun. Back home, the old man heard a song he hadn't heard in ages, but it carried no triumph, only sorrow. Tears suddenly streamed down his face. What kind of society forces an old veteran to take up arms again to defend his rights and dignity? Perhaps that's the real question worth asking.